ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, Verse 15. Putramscha shishyamscha nrupo gururva malloka kamo madanugrahartah itam vimanyur anushishyad atajnan na yojayet karmasu karmamudhan kam yojayan manujortham labheta nipatayan ashtadrisham higarte. Translation. If one is serious about going back home, back to Godhead, he must consider the mercy of the Supreme Person of Godhead, the summum bonum and chief aim of life. So I'm reading it again. If one is serious about going home, back to Godhead, he must consider the mercy of the Lord, the summum bonum and chief aim of life. Meaning the chief aim of life is to get this mercy. If he is a father instructing his sons, a spiritual master instructing his disciples, or a king instructing his citizens, he must instruct them as I have advised. So we have to instruct our dependents as Ṛṣabhadeva has advised. Now this next instruction is very, very important. Without being angry, he should continue giving instructions even if his disciple, son or citizen is sometimes unable to follow his order. Without being angry, one should continue giving instructions. Ignorant people who engage in pious and impious activities should be engaged in devotional service by all means. So those people who engage in punya and papa, but not in bhakti, they're ignorant. But they should be engaged in devotional service by all means. Somehow or the other, they should be engaged in devotional service. They should always avoid fruitive activity. If one puts into the bondage of karmic activity his disciple, son or citizen who is bereft of transcendental vision, how will one profit? Meaning, if somebody is dependent on us, then we should not put them into the bondage of karmic activity. Meaning we should not engage them in fruitive activity. If we do that, how will one profit? It is like leading a blind man to a dark well and causing him to fall in. Purport, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.26, Na buddhi vedam janayed agnanam karma sanginam joshayed sarva karmani vidvan yuktas samacharan. Let not the wise disrupt the minds of the ignorant who are attached to fruitive action. They should be encouraged not to refrain from work, but to work in the spirit of devotion. So Prabhupada has written a very small purport. So this mercy of the Supreme Lord is very, very important. Actually, we have to focus on this. If we have to achieve perfection, then it is not by our effort alone. Of course, it is by our sincere effort, and Supreme Lord looks at the sincerity with which we are serving. And the most important thing is that he has to be pleased with us. And when he is pleased, he will give his mercy, and only then we can actually achieve something spiritually. So we should always hanker for this mercy of the Supreme Lord. Now that is one thing. Second thing is about our responsibilities as parents, as leaders in some way. So if we have dependents, we must actually instruct them as Ṛṣabhadeva was instructed. And we should not be angry. I used to be very, very angry, disappointed when people who are seeking guidance don't follow what is being told. But we have to just be patient and we should continue giving instructions, is what Ṛṣabhadeva is saying. But of course, here one important thing is translation says one is sometimes unable to follow his order. If somebody is all the time not following the order, that means they are not sincere at all. Now, in which case, then some things have to be done to make sure that they become more sincere. Which is why it's sometimes some devotees speak too much, but they don't do anything. That means they're not sincere. They might have intentions, but they're not really sincere. At least there should be some attempt, some effort. Irrespective, what Ṛṣabhadeva is saying here is whether they're sincere or not sincere, we have to continue trying to help them without being angry. And it's true for children, husband, wife relationship, other dependents, etc. So multiple instructions are there. Then how to engage people in general. Some people might be engaged in pious activities like going to temples, doing puja, this, that, and all that, and they may not be even aware of devotional service. Now, somehow we have to engage them in devotional service. They'll think that this is another, okay, like satsang, like they are doing other satsangs. This is also one such satsang. It's okay. Somehow they have to come in contact with devotional service and devotees. And some people are doing not so pious activities. What do we do with them? Again, somehow engage them in devotional service, not directly here. In such cases, maybe because they might be envious, they might not be really wanting to do that. So maybe, through other means like maybe if they want to give some money, and then such people also, they don't give money for spiritual reasons. Then we say for distributing prasadam or distributing books like that, something. Or sometimes they might do personal service. For example, okay, you want to go from one place to another. Somebody might say, okay, I can drive you around. Anything, right? Somehow, that is why it's very challenging to be a preacher. We can't push away anybody, irrespective of what their material position is. We see in our, Mudimao Center, regularly, actually they are beggars on the street. They come for prasadam on Sunday evening. And yeah, we don't differentiate. We distribute prasadam to everybody. Because that is also devotional service. Honoring prasadam is also devotional service. At this point of time, they are only able to do that service. But because they will have some respect, some, saying that, somebody is giving us prasadam. They know it's a temple, it's a devotional center. Slowly, steadily, their hearts will become clean. They'll get purified. And then they will do devotion. They will take up direct activities. But we should never encourage people who come to us we should not encourage them to get involved in fruitive activity, meaning sense gratification. Because there's no benefit from that. It is like leading a blind man to a dark well and causing him to fall in. Let's see how bad it is, how harmful it is. Yeah, again, that's the reason preaching is an art. One has to be very, very careful, conscious about what we recommend to people when they come to us with their problems. And if we are, of course, if we are sincere, then Krishna will, he will give us intelligence. But we should understand that most of the people actually, they are bereft of transcendental vision. They don't have transcendental vision. So we have to be very merciful, compassionate. That's one of the qualities of a Madhyamadikari. Love towards the Supreme Lord, friendship towards other devotees, compassion towards the ignorant, and avoid the envious, atheists. So, and this we should use in all our engagements, when we engage with other people in this world, relatives, friends, and we should somehow try to engage them in devotional service. Simplest way is to give people prasadam. Whether they are relatives, friends, just start with giving prasadam. Then all important events in their life like birthday, marriage anniversary, this, that, and all that, give them books. Invite them on those days to our temples, etc., etc. So somehow we have to engage them in devotional service, and that requires all of us to actually be convinced about devotional service, and then we try to help them also come into devotion. What happened to this? Verse 16. Lokasvayam shreyasi nashtadrishtir yorthan samiheta nikama kamaha anyonya vaira sukalesha hetur ananta dukkham chana veda mudaha. Due to ignorance, the materialistic person does not know anything about his real self-interest, the auspicious path in life. He is simply bound to material enjoyment by lusty desires, and all his plans are made for this purpose. For temporary sense gratification, such a person creates a society of envy, and due to this mentality, he plunges into the ocean of suffering. Such a foolish person does not even know about this. Actually, most people don't know about this, that they are putting themselves into the ocean of suffering. It's a very important verse. Due to ignorance, materialistic person don't know the auspicious path in life. They're simply bound by material enjoyment, into material enjoyment by lusty desires. And all their plans are made for this purpose, material enjoyment. And for temporary sense gratification, people create society of envy. It's all about envy. And due to this mentality, he plunges into the ocean of suffering. Such a foolish person does not even know about this. So he doesn't even know that he is plunged into the ocean of suffering. Where is my charger? So, so we should be aware, conscious about this. For temporary sense gratification, even we become envious, right? And if when we become envious, then that means that it is a recipe for suffering. Srimad Bhagavatam is, one can enter into Srimad Bhagavatam when he is not envious. Bhagavatam is for the non-envious, isn't it? What is that? 1.1.2. Dharma projita kaitavatra parmo nirmatsaranam swatam. Nirmatsaranam, those who are non-envious. So the Bhagavatam is for the non-envious. But who becomes envious? Who is after sense gratification becomes envious. And then this verse, Mangalacharan in Srimad Bhagavatam is saying that Srimad Bhagavatam is for the non-envious. Which means those who are non-envious can understand, enter into Srimad Bhagavatam, into the depths of Srimad Bhagavatam. But those who are envious, they can't do that, but by serving Srimad Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, their envy will go. Their anarthas will go. But this envy, actually, we have this envy occurs only because of our desire for sense gratification. So we should understand that this is the cause for suffering. Let's see the purport. The word nashta drishtihi, meaning one who has no eyes to see the future, is very significant in this verse. Life goes on from one body to another, and the activities performed in this life are enjoyed or suffered in the next life, if not later in this life. Oh, okay. Prabhupada is saying for some actions, there is also suffering in this life, later in this life. One who is unintelligent, who has no eyes to see the future, simply creates enmity and fights with others for sense gratification. This is what we see. The whole material world is, this is the characteristic of the whole material world. Simply people are creating enmity with each other and fighting. Why? For sense gratification. This is all a result of envy. As a result, one suffers in the next life, but due to being like a blind man, he continues to act in such a way that he suffers unlimitedly. Such a person is a mudha, one who simply wastes his time and does not understand the Lord's devotional service. Wasting time for sense gratification, creating enmity with others, fighting. Mudha, unintelligent. We see this happening even in the devotee communities, so which is very unfortunate. We see devotees arguing with each other, fighting with each other. And we can actually, if we analyze different situations when devotees are engaged in this way, we can understand that there is somewhere a need for sense gratification, la puja pratishta, something. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah moodoyam nabijanati loko mam ajamapyayam. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my eternal creative potency, yogamaya. And so the deluded world knows me not, who am unborn and infallible. So such mudas, they cannot see the Lord and Lord's devotional service. So they just see themselves, aham and mama, that's all. So they're unintelligent. And because they see only aham and mama, they engage in sense gratification. In Katha Upanishad, it is also said, avidyayam antare vartamanaha swayam dhiraha panditam manyamanaha. Although ignorant, people still go to other blind men for leadership. As a result, both are subjected to miserable conditions. The blind lead the blind into the ditch. So we should never, actually enviousness is not a characteristic of a devotee. Being envious is a characteristic of a Baddha Jiva, conditioned soul. So can somebody explain what this enviousness means? Sometimes we are confused. Might not be clear. What is envious mean?
Being jealous of someone else when they're prospering.
Yeah, being jealous of someone else. One is that, the other is, okay, any other definitions? Yes, one is being jealous of someone else.
If someone is bad to us, I mean, if something bad they have done to us, we'll wait. We'll wait that some bad should happen
Thing
to them
happened to
also
them.
in
Okay,
future.
we might even pray for it, saying that let something bad happen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 and also,
Pranam Prabhuji, sorry.
yeah, yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Okay, finding faults unnecessarily when there is no
Finding
fault.
faults unnecessarily.
Find
Okay,
faults.
finding faults when there is no fault. Okay.
Hare Krishna, when you feel that you lack something and the other person possesses it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Prabhupada also says that something actually belongs to somebody else, but you don't want him to get it. That is also envy. Meaning somebody is happy because they deserve it, but we don't want them to be happy. Right. So we basically not just jealous of others' possessions, and just because we don't have it. That jealousy is just because we don't have it. And how much ever we have, we can be jealous about others. If you have, we have, whatever, 10 lakhs, somebody has 15 lakhs, then we are jealous about them, saying that why they have more than me. And then this results in, or, other kinds of jealousy, enviousness is, um, for example, somebody is becoming popular and we want to cut him out because we want to be in that position. Like Indra is envious, right, of so many people who do so many tapasya and all that. So he comes to break their vows because he's behind his post. This I anyway talked about this before also. Amongst devotees, material envy we should absolutely give up very early in our devotion, right? As in being envious about seeing others, non-devotees prospering. We should not think, oh, what is this? I'm a devotee. My material position is not improving. Their position, their non-devotees, their position is improving, and not. We should give up this thought process. This is the first step. How to look at material, other people in this world, right? Not be envious about them. We should also absolutely not be envious about other devotees who are making more progress. Maybe somebody came much later than we came into Krishna consciousness and they're making progress. We should be happy. We should not be envious. Third is when we still higher, still more progress we made. So then we get stuck with La Puja Pratishtha. Somebody is being appreciated. I'm not being appreciated. Somebody is being glorified. Somebody, is being treated like guru. I'm not getting that respect. I want to retain this position. So I will make sure that, I will pull down everybody else. All this is envy. All this is just different aspects of enviousness. And such a person will never be able to enter into Srimad Bhagavatam. Only Nirmat Saranam can enter into the real message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam reveals itself to the non-envious. So we have to be careful about this. And that is the reason we should be, if you are in the association of devotees who are non-envious, good association. And again, this association is not online. I want to highlight this much. It is offline association, face-to-face association, where this human body has to interact with other human bodies. Meaning, only when we are actually amongst devotees will we actually know what our real position is. When nobody is there in front of us, we might say all glorious things and this and that and all that. But when in reality, when we have to deal with people day in, day out, that's when our real colors come out. And then we have to see whether am I envious, am I feeling jealous about the other person. Yeah, so we should try not to be envious. And the solution for this is actually Srimad Bhagavatam. By just serving Bhagavatam Nityam every day, all these anarthas can go, especially envy can go. Okay. Kastam swayam tad abhigno vipaschit avidyayamantare vartamanam drishtva punastam saghrana kubuddhim prayojayet utpatagam yathandam. If someone is ignorant and addicted to the path of samsara, how can one who is actually learned, merciful, and advanced in spiritual knowledge engage him in fruitive activity and thus further entangle him in material existence? Most people are ignorant and they're addicted to the path of samsara, which is what it is. Then how can learned, merciful devotees engage such people in fruitive activity and thus further entangle them? If a blind man is walking down the wrong path, how can a gentleman allow him to continue on his way to danger? How can he approve this method? No wise or kind man can allow this. So, if we are wise or kind, we have to help others. We have to see that other people are blind and they're walking down the wrong path. And if you're a gentleman, then we cannot let that happen. Meaning we cannot see material people stuck, in this material world and going down, down, down. We cannot just see that and keep quiet. We have to preach. We have to give them a book. If you don't know how to preach, then just give them a book. But even to give them a book, we need to preach. We need to know what is there in the book. And we can tell them, yeah, you want to be happy? This is the path for happiness. Take it. But we cannot just see them going down the, downhill, and we cannot just keep quiet. That means we are really stone-hearted, isn't it? We see that people are going down and we don't seem to be doing anything about it. We are okay with it. Meaning we are in our own selfish world where we are just bothered about our own benefits, about our own life, and not worried about others. That's not for gentlemen. That's not for the wise. That's not for the kind. And of course, kind doesn't mean that, solve people's material problems, which we cannot. We cannot solve people's material problems. That only Krishna can. But we can bring them to bhakti. We can introduce them to bhakti. What happened to this? Something wrong. This is a very important verse. Gurur na sasyat svajano na sasyat pita na sasyat janani na sasyat daivam na tatsyan na patishchat sasyan na mochayad yas samupeta mrutyum. One who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. There are many spiritual masters, but Ṛṣabhadeva advises that one should not become a spiritual master if he is unable to save his disciple from the path of birth and death. Unless one is a pure devotee of Krishna, he cannot save himself from the path of repeated birth and death. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. One can stop birth and death only by returning home back to Godhead. However, who can go back to Godhead unless he understands the Supreme Lord? In truth, janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. So how does a spiritual master save his disciple from the path of birth and death? Anybody?
By showing him the path
By showing him the path, okay?
leading to Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay.
So Guru,
Yeah.
yes,
Go ahead.
Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu. So Guru, I think Guru specifically knows, what the problem with his disciple and what is that specific medicine that would work for him.
Okay.
So that's the only way, So unless we get the real medicine, disease never gets cured.
Okay. What else?
Krishna Prabhu, by imparting knowledge.
Okay, imparting knowledge. Now think about it practically.
It's a easy connection to the God.
My question is, what does a spiritual master do? How does a spiritual master save his disciple from the path of birth and death?
By creating an easy path to the Supreme Personality of Godhead with Parampara.
Yeah, not easy path, giving the path, right? Whatever is the path to be followed, spiritual master gives that.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
By giving many opportunities for seva, I mean, different ways of, depending on where the devotee is, what kind of sevas can help them progress, services.
Okay, so two things we have to understand here, right? One is, of course, spiritual master is expected to show the path, jnana, whatever, all that you all said. But what if a disciple is not following? Then
it's committing offense, right?
Committing offense. Who is committing offense?
Against the Guru. Disciple.
Yeah. If they are not following the instructions of the Guru, then disciple is committing offense. No, but how will the spiritual master save the disciple?
Yesterday in one of the shloka from third canto, I read this, Prabhu. Even in materialistic sense, if you want to know something which is unknown, we'll approach a person who is already experienced and learned out of it. So even in this world, spiritual master, he's experienced and he's learned. So it is through experience he'll even teach us what.
Okay, nice. So he will teach us. He'll teach us through instruction, through action, through everything. Right? But what is the important part is that we have to also follow. And the spiritual master also sees if the devotees, disciples are not following. And he will again instruct and highlight certain things, give more importance to certain things. A disciple is one who is disciplined, isn't it? What is the meaning of disciplined?
Following the orders.
Huh?
Following the orders.
Yeah. If somebody says something, you should be ready to follow it. Right? So sometimes spiritual master will be, and yeah, his personal dealings with spiritual master, he might, he might give different instructions to different disciples based on their maturity or level of surrender, etc. So the spiritual master takes a lot of effort, pain to actually save his disciple. But the disciple also has to see, recognize this, and he has to go and surrender. See, one of the most important things we should understand, especially in ISKCON, spiritual masters have so many disciples. How will the spiritual master be able to save every disciple? He can give general instructions, general guidance, right? But there's also a very important responsibility. The disciple is to go and surrender to the Guru and ask for direction. Unfortunately, disciples don't do this. And then we cannot blame the spiritual master for that. Of course, Shastra says that the spiritual master should also not accept people who are not qualified. What does this qualified, not qualified means? Everybody is not qualified. Only that is the reason we are in this material world. But at least one qualification is required, which is sincerity. And when other devotees are recommending devotees for initiation, etc., this one quality is absolutely required. Otherwise, we are actually doing disservice to the Guru. We have to make sure that the disciple at least has sincerity. And this is important because then if he is sincere, he will simply hear from the Guru and take his words very seriously. But if sincerity is not there, then it affects the Guru because the disciple will not follow. He will break principles. And all these manifests as external physical problems that can be seen in the body of the Guru. So it's very, very important. Once Prabhupada was going through some, very difficult health situation, and he directly told his disciples, saying that this is not because of my karma phala. This is because you are all not following rules. So it is the responsibility of the disciple. Guru is doing all that is practically possible. Guru is also praying for Supreme Lord to give mercy. He is himself giving mercy, showing the path, giving guidance, giving direction, creating facilities for service, etc., etc. All that is being done. But the disciple can be saved only if he becomes pure. See, unless one is a pure devotee of Krishna, he cannot save himself. So he has to become pure by following the instructions of the Guru. We have many instances in history illustrating Ṛṣabhadeva's instruction. Shukracharya was rejected by Bali Maharaj due to his inability to save Bali Maharaj from the path of repeated birth and death. Shukracharya was not a pure devotee. He was more or less inclined to fruitive activity, and he objected when Bali Maharaj promised to give everything to Lord Vishnu. Actually, one is supposed to give everything to Lord because everything belongs to the Lord. One is supposed to give everything to the Lord. And I see people calculating, thinking 100 times to give like 1% of what they earn or 5% of what they earn. When actually we are supposed to give 100% of what we earn to Krishna. So selfish we are. Consequently, Supreme Lord advises in Bhagavad Gita, Yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yat juhosi dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. This is bhakti. But of course, this is karma yoga. Meaning that highest platform of devotion is Kevala Bhakti, when there is no other work. But even when there is work, everything can be offered to Krishna, then it is Karma Mishra Bhakti. It's called otherwise called Karma Yoga. Unless one is devoted, he cannot give everything to the Supreme Lord. See, devoted. Unless one can do so, he cannot become a spiritual master, husband, father, or mother. So what is Prabhupada saying here? One cannot become a spiritual master, husband, father, or mother if he cannot give everything that has been given in his position to the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the wives of the Brahmanas who were performing sacrifices gave up their relatives just to satisfy Krishna. Here we are not ready to give up even our taste for sense gratification. This is an example of a wife rejecting a husband who cannot deliver her from the impending dangers of birth and death. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj rejected his father. Bharat Maharaj rejected his mother. The word Daivam indicates a demigod or one who accepts worship from a dependent. Ordinarily, the spiritual master, husband, father, mother, or superior relative accepts worship from an inferior relative. But here Ṛṣabhadeva forbids this. First, the father, spiritual master, or husband must be able to release the dependent from repeated birth and death. If he cannot do this, he plunges himself into the ocean of reproachment for his unlawful activities. Meaning, a person in superior position cannot accept the respect being shown to him for his position if he is not able to release the dependent from repeated birth and death. Then it is unlawful. It becomes unlawful activity. So everyone should be very responsible and take charge of his dependents, just as a spiritual master takes charge of his disciple, or a father takes charge of his son. All these responsibilities cannot be discharged honestly unless one can save the dependent from repeated birth and death. So the actual responsibility can be discharged only when we can save our dependents from birth and death. Most parents in Krishna consciousness, what are they after for their children? What do they want their children to do? What are people worried about?
Material success.
Material success.
Education, career.
So what are we? So here, unlawful. Our activity becomes unlawful. He plunges himself into the ocean of reproachment for his unlawful activities. So our activities become unlawful. So please think about this. What is the difference between us and other people in this material world if we also behave just like them? Isn't it? As fathers, husbands, mothers. We are exactly like other karmis, other people, non-devotees. Actually, we should not become a father. We should not become a husband. We should not become a mother. What example can we set for others? They look at us and say, you are also just like me. You are also envious. You are also fighting for your children. I am also fighting for my children. I also want my children to flourish. You also want your children to flourish. What is the difference? You might be chanting some mantra, but doesn't look like that's having any impact on you, real impact. Isn't it? How much devotees are worried today about their children and their future and their career and education, and not Krishna conscious at all. Prabhupada said, don't send your children to slaughterhouses, but we still send. The focus needs to be devotion. That's the whole point.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We can't hear you.
Yes, Prabhu, that's what I was about to call out. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, if you're speaking, we could not hear you.
Hare Krishna, sorry, just lost my connection. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, so I was asking what do you all think? I mean, what should we do?
Prabhu, I mean, we try as much as possible to give them association. But
Okay.
I don't know,
Okay.
bro. I mean,
Good.
I'm also, confused in the sense like given the situation we are in. I mean, especially
What is the situation? What is the situation we are in?
in metropolitans, right?
No, what is the
Uh,
situation we are in?
situation in the sense like, I mean, we are karmis, and then
We are karmis.
karmis
Prabhu.
in the sense, Prabhu. I mean, we have to go work for sure, right? And then kids also, they don't have. I mean, like I don't know. I mean, other than schools, where can we send them? I know gurukuls are there, but it's not very prominent, or
Yeah, why
But
why they are not prominent? Because they are not going to give you material success.
correct.
Isn't it? So yeah, I mean, we have to understand where we are today is we still think that material success is important. We are not actually thinking that Krishna consciousness is the most important thing in the life of our children. Right?
Yeah,
Prabhu,
more or less. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji can speak first.
Okay, Sunil Prabhu.
Prabhu, yeah, being in the material world, there are so many things. We get karma and we do everything around Krishna. But how will we make sure their ultimate goal is definitely going to Krishna? But how do they lead life more happily and progress there? Sh- should not be a thought. I'm totally confused and asking this question. Why should that be a thought actually?
We should be what thought? I didn't understand.
So we are in the material world.
Mm-hmm.
So adopting to the material world and progressing towards Krishna, why should it be the path?
Okay, not adopting, just living in this material world. We can't adopt to the material world. If you adopt to the material world, then we become like materialists. We should somehow figure out a way to survive in this material world, right?
Right. But
So
surviving in this material world requires siksha from material school.
it's okay. That doesn't require shiksha from material school. It requires shiksha required to engage with this material world. See, we have to understand today, for example, one big option which is there for all parents is homeschooling. Okay. Any student today can go and write NIOS, National Open Schooling, National Institute of Open Schooling. So you don't even have to go to any school. You can just write the NIOS exam, and then you can then go to Indira Gandhi Open University. You can sit in your house and you can get whatever degree that is required to deal with this world. Okay. So you don't have to really spend so much of money and send children to places where their culture is completely killed. Right. Now this is the first option for all parents. The second option is to actually start thinking about careers which are devotion friendly. For example, teaching. Maybe even if say somebody wants to do like one of our devotees, yeah, so one devotee here in the group, she's just finished her second PU, so she wants to do teaching, which is amazing, right? Because then you have the flexibility, you can connect with so many people and children and change their lives. Or somebody might become not definitely a allopathy doctor, but Ayurvedic doctor, because that's more closer to Vedic way of life. And again, you will come in touch with so many people. You will help with their medical, with their physical problems, and also you can help with their spiritual problems, right? So we have to look at various career options which are more devotee friendly, devotion friendly, right? And in the midst of all this, what is most important is to make sure our children are in the midst of the right culture, which is Krishna conscious culture. But we don't have confidence. We are afraid. What if our children fail? Right? We don't seem to understand how karma works. Right? So this requires faith in us first. We have to have faith in Krishna consciousness. Only then we can do other things, right? And especially true for children who are in their young, early age, right? Small children. We have full opportunity to actually make sure that they don't get spoiled in this miserable material world. And that they understand that the goal of life is Krishna consciousness. So it requires faith in parents, before we can actually tell this or give this guidance to our children or dependents. But we ourselves don't seem to have much, faith in Krishna consciousness to that extent that we can follow Krishna's instructions. So we have to become more surrendered, then we can think of these things. Yeah, Vamshi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
I just thought if I can share some of my realizations.
Yeah.
So, Prabhu, you were asking like how we can actually, change, right? So, I think having a daughter in our life has helped us in a way to reset ourselves in a lot of ways. Starting off with uh, Garmadana Samskara, and then getting a really good soul was our first, I would say, blessings of Krishna. And afterwards, what has also helped us is we have tried to keep her as a center and then trying to see how we can bring her into Krishna consciousness. And her actions have so much revolved and changed our habits in our life, personally mine and my Shruti's wife, so life as well. So that's one way I felt like it can really help, like you really rightly said, Prabhu, keeping children's and trying to see how they can be uh, you know made Krishna conscious is super critical. So I think our first step was towards not to put them into a normal school, and this is an NIOS school itself, open schooling system. So that has
Yeah.
really helped, Prabhu. That has
Yeah. Yeah. So Vamshi Prabhu and Mataji, they send Manjari to Purna Pramati, right?
Purna Pramati.
Yeah, so which has two centers, and I'm encouraging a lot of our devotees to actually put their children in the school, because it's run by Madhwas, and they are giving a lot of importance to Vedic culture. And so children even go to schools with tilak on and traditional dress and all that, right? And that's the way to go. So there's one near JP Nagar and one near Girinagar, right? So this is absolutely a way, because unfortunately ISKCON has not been able to solve for this, right, in cities. But having said that, this can be taken as a model and replicated even at home. It's not that it has to be there only, but for that it requires full commitment of the mother. Full commitment of the mother, then she can do this. Right. But as parents, we should not be worried, right? Like, oh, what will happen to my children's future? Then we will all follow suit whatever rest of the world is doing. Okay, so keep this in the back of your mind, especially young parents who have young children. You can try to implement some of these. Yeah, Shashank Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhu.
Pranam.
So, yeah, Prabhu, even I have faced some of these questions, like sometimes, like even Ashwini will ask, but at that time, like, what is the future and all, like, we are so okay, but what is our child future, like that she was asking. But at that time, every time, like, whenever a question pops up in my mind, I was thinking like this, Prabhu. Like, what I was thinking, I wanted to share. So, Krishna gives two things in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu. One is promise and is instructions. So whenever a question comes like this, so first thing I was thinking, verse 9.22. So yoga kshemam vahamyam. So he is there. So he is promising us why we need to worry of the future. That is a promise. And the instruction which we need to follow is to surrender. That is the next step. Then second thing I was saying to her, verse 5.29. Bhoktaram yagya tapasyam sarva lokam maheshwaram suhrudam sarva bhutanam yagmatmam santim rachati. So Krishna is a well-wisher for us. He is so caring when we are surrendering. Then future of children will also be taken care. Only thing we need to make them step to go to Krishna consciousness. That's it. The rest of it, no need for speculation or contemplation. So just
no, there is need for contemplation. You should understand this properly, right? See, if some parents put their children in in Karmi school, where there is no other thing required except studying and coming for standing first in the class, then you just put that child into a very wrong environment. So there is contemplation required. There is faith required, saying that no, I don't want to put my child in this normal slaughterhouse. Right. So that requires faith, that requires contemplation, that requires surrender, that requires everything that you said. Everything you said is correct, except that we don't need to do contemplation. Of course, we need to do contemplation. Surrender, contemplate about what is the right thing to do, and do it with faith in Krishna. Don't worry about the future, because yes, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam, Krishna is our friend, all that is correct. But not that we should not have contemplation. We should think and take the right decisions which are Krishna conscious. Right? For which, yes, surrender is required and all that. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. I think, anyway, parents can contemplate on this. We can discuss further later if required. Time is over. So I'll stop here. So many things. Every day we read Srimad Bhagavatam, there can be so many things that we can learn. Okay. So let's stop.